and blessing. Good morning. Happy Sunday. Well, guys, we meet again with a serious and disturbing case. We know that children nowadays days, they go out and they do the darn things. We know at the end of the day, guys, when you really think about it, we're talking about this case. Quebec woman gets 27 months sentencing scalding a black child. So we know at the end of the day, guys, when you think about it, we know that children will be outside. They will play Nicky Nicky Nine Door. They will do all kind of manner of evil of children. When my children were younger, I was, kind of shield them, keep them busy and stuff like that, and always warn them about these things or these people in society where other children can do things, but other children are troublemakers, really and truly. So we ran into this case, guys, that we have to come and speak about. 27 months in sentence for scalding a child. That's going to have, lifetime injury. That scalding and all of that, it's always going to remain, at times, severe burn, and all of that situation. But nevertheless, happy Sunday. Let this Sunday be a day to reflect, a day of respect for all you have been. Blessed. Let your joy be expressed. Okay, guys? So right there on the ball game, on the ballpark, let's hammer this one home. Or hit this one home with the story all the way in Quebec, quick and fast. Okay, guys? I'm trying to give you guys your content, but not the same time like how I used to come on. Just remember to turn on your notification bell and also subscribe and share at the same time, guys. Okay? So we're going to unpack the story. I hope your weekend has been great. Very short nowadays days, or a weekend are very short nowadays days. Go by so fast. But we also have to give God thanks that we are alive. Thank God we're alive and we can come out here and have a conversation, so to speak. A lot of people in the world nowadays days, can't even come out of their bed, can't even say amen. You know what I mean? Can't even walk, can't even go to the bathroom on their own. So we have to give God thanks when we're out here surviving and we're out here can have a conversation or two. But nevertheless, guys, happy Sunday morning, and we're gonna unpack this terrible and disgusting story. I want you guys to look at the child's skin, and I also want you guys to look good on the child's skin. And I also want you guys to look good on the child's face. Okay, guys? Now, as a woman or an adult, somebody's pranking your door, ringing the bell. What do you do? Do you call the police? Do you find out where that child is from and go warn his parents? Or do you open your door and say, young man, can you please stop ringing my door? The next time you ring my door, I am going to go and get your mother, and I am going to go and call the police. Simple. Although the police maybe don't even come up, but maybe once you mention that the child is black, allegedly, maybe the police will come in always. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, when you really think about it, I believe that this situation could be held and dealt with properly, differently, other than scalding this child like this, like a dog, like you're scalding pig. Would you throw hot water on a dog, a cat, somebody else that don't look like him? I am not sure. But nevertheless, people, let's unpack the story gravely and greatly. All right? So let's unpack the story. So we're talking about the story right here. So let's get on with it. A Quebec woman scalded. Remember, the child is 10 years old, guys. A Quebec woman scalded a 10-year-old boy with boiling water over a doorbell prank, was sentenced Wednesday to 27 months in prison, leaving the victim's family hopeful they could turn the page on a horrific ordeal. Stephanie Burrell pleaded guilty for aggravated assault last September, acknowledging she acting out of frustration over children ringing her doorbell repeatedly as a prank. Quebec Court Judge Marc-Antoine Carrette agreed with a joint recommendation on the sentence from the Crown and defense. Oh, really and truly. At the sentencing, Crown Attorney Gabriel read a letter from the boy's family that called for a prison time to send a message against violence against children. At only 10 years old, he has lost his sense of security and his carefree attitude, the family wrote. His schooling, his development, and future were directly affected. The family said it had arrived in Quebec in November 2022, hoping to offer their children a safe, stable, and respectful environment, which was shattered. So I guess this family ended up in Quebec 2022, and didn't caution, I would say. You know, although children will be children and children do the damn and the darn things. But moving into a city and a nonchalant white city basically in Quebec. We heard about the racism in Quebec. We heard about black men being pulled over left and right in Quebec. We know that discrimination goes on in Quebec dreadfully. A lot of times you move into a country, you got to research at times how these people are. Because it tells you quite clear, if you could take up scalding boiled water to throw on a child, not throw at him, on the child, then it tells you quite clear. Okay? Nevertheless, the family said they had arrived in Quebec in November 2022, hoping to offer their children a safe, stable, and respectful environment, which was shattered in an act of extreme violence that left the boy permanently scarred. As you can see his skin, all right? The Crown and defense said in a joint statement of facts that Burrell did not know the boy but assaulted him because she was fed up with the school children who would ring her doorbell and run away in a prank known as Ding Dong Ditch. Oh no. Burrell and the boy's family both live on the same street. On the day of the incident, October 2nd, 2024, recent, last year, that basically winter, spotted a boy approaching her door, but before he could ring the bell, she tossed a container of boiling water at him. "It's hot, huh? Get lost," she told the boy, who is black. The investigation found there was no proof of the victim was specifically targeted or that his race played a role. The boy, who's identified to subject to publication ban, suffered serious burns to about 4% of his body, including face, chest, shoulder, and blade. All right? Lanquilly police visit the woman's home after the incident and let Burrell go on a promise to appear. It prompted the boy's family to go public about the assault, criticizing the justice system and suggesting that Burrell was getting lenient treatment. So let me find this out. So a child is playing Nicky Nicky, 9-door, Ding Dong Ditch. Before the child get to your door, remember the child didn't even ring your bell yet. By the time the child got to the door, you throw the hot water. You throw the hot water on the child and then you say, "It's hot, huh? Get lost." You burn the child. Basically a 3rd-degree burn. Basically at a 3rd-degree burn. Yes, a 3rd-degree burn. Right? And when the police come, you got promised to appear? No, people. I understand that children do the darnest things. I know that children nowadays will go out there and be a nuisance. But it's just a ding-dong dash. The child didn't even ring the bell. Let's go over it one more time before we get to the rest of the content. All right? So like I said, the child basically suffers serious burns, yes? And about 4% of his body, including his face and his shoulder blade. So I'll show you. So his shoulder blade burnout, his chest burnout, and his face is burned out over a ding-dong dash. You know when you're younger, you play Nicky Nicky. In our days, it's called Nicky Nicky 9-door. Now it's called ding-dong dash. When you were younger, have you ever go and ring on your neighbor's door in a building, in the neighborhood and ran? A lot of people did that back in the days. A lot of children done that when they were younger. So this was October 2nd in winter. What is sad about it, the family not too long moved to Quebec in 2022. So imagine you moved to Quebec, you're new in Quebec, you're new in the country, 2022, and you caught on a little bit of bad habits of ringing people's door. This occurred 2024. Reason why I'm availing, reason why I'm bringing this story, because the lady not too long got sentenced 20 months in jail for scalding the poor black child almost to death. So if I'm a parent, if I'm a person in my home, yes, you have the right to have peace. You have the right to do all kind of things. We all know that some doorbell you could go and turn them off. Yes, we all know that. There's ways to turn off the doorbell. Depends on the doorbell that you have, right? So I'm not giving this child any right. You have no right to go and ring people's doorbell. You have no right to go throw stuff at people's door. Yes, you have a right to be a child. At times they behave like nuisance. At times children do darn things. But he never deserved a scalding container of hot water. Burn. Look at the poor child. Those scars are gonna remain. You guys know when your skin is darker, it's hard for your skin to grow back and get even with some cocoa butter, even with some shea butter, even all of these cream that you put on that spot. It's hard for your skin to come back that way as in your complexion. You're always gonna have that pitch patch color knowing after that hot water. Unless he's gonna do something called skin grafting, where you take other part of your skin, maybe off your buttocks or somewhere in your back, and try to, fix up that part. But the way I see it, forever, this child is forever scarred. Forever scarred. Seriously, forever scarred, people. Forever scarred. All right? Forever scarred. Give me a second. All right? 1 second, folks. 1 second. 1 second. I am coming, guys. I know I should have did this earlier, but I'm doing laundry, right? Girls doing laundry, finishing up my laundry and stuff like that. So I have to go and check on it, right? And stuff like that. I try to do laundry very early, people, because then you save on your hydro. When you do laundry in the daytime, your hydro will be sky high. So to save a little, gain a little, you gotta make sure you know the cycles or when the best time to do your laundry. So I'm doing laundry now, people. You don't know. It's easier to do laundry in the home more than to go to a laundromat and stuff like that. But nevertheless, people, so let's get into the situation again one more time, all right? So the family of the victim and the perpetrator live on the same street, all right? So we're going to go over the story a little bit more, all right? So on the day of October 2nd, 2024, like I said, Burrell spotted a boy approaching her door, but before he could ring the bell, she tossed a container of boiling water at him. So basically, this child hasn't reached the doorbell yet. Didn't even get a chance to ring the doorbell. Seriously, okay? So to me, her excuse is not here nor there. To me, it's disturbing and troubling because if the child didn't get to the doorbell yet, then you have no right to throw the water, the way how I see it. You have no right to throw the water even if he got to the door. I find it troubling and disturbing, but I'm not surprised. So let's unpack the story some more. On the day of the incident, October 2nd, like I said, 2024, Burrell spotted the boy approaching the door, but before he could ring the bell, she tossed a container of boiling water at him. Then she shouted, "It's hot, huh? Get lost," she told the boy who was black. So jumping around, moving forward, because I read that part already. All right. The boy, who's identified subject to a publication ban, suffered serious burns to about 4% of his body, including his face, chest, and shoulder blade. All right. Lonquilly police visited the woman's home after the incident and let Burrell go on a promise to appear. It prompted the boy's family to go public about the assaulting, criticizing the justice system, and suggesting that Burrell was getting lenient treatment. All right. The parents wrote he deals with severe constant anxiety and significant emotional distress. He regularly has nightmares and had profound shame related to his appearance, which has severely affected his self-esteem. He also have difficulty in school, with the parents receiving daily calls. The act of a child abuse is neither accidentally nor trivial for excusable, the parents wrote. It's a serious premeditated act of violence against a vulnerable child that has left permanent physically and psychological scars. Farah Augusta, a friend of the family, told reporters the family was hopeful to turn the page and move on. Of course, there will be psychological effects, maybe for the rest of his life, but at the least this chapter of his life, he can turn the page and move on, Augusta said. And what we are happy about is the jail sentence. It sends a clear message to the society that those kinds of acts, those cruel acts will never be accepted, will never be tolerated by the Canadian society. Correct thanked the family and their supporters for being present, telling them it takes courage and means revisiting an emotional situation. The judge added he was deeply convinced the child is well surrounded. Burrell's lawyer, Milana Brucho, told the court before sentencing that her client had expressed remorse towards the victim and recognized the full extent of the consequences of her action. Sorry, won't cut this one. For her part, Burrell did not address the court and was impassive as the person term was handed down. Burrell had been detained since her bail was revoked last October and will now have 20 months left on her sentence. The judge also ordered 3 years of probation from her release from prison and a host of other conditions that forbade contact with the victim and his family. She also prohibited from being within 500 meters of any primary or secondary school. So she's not allowed to be around children at this point. The report by the Canadian Press first published on January 28, 2026. So this is a recent situation. So like I said to you guys, they gave her a promise to appear. And when the family sound the alarm, when the family sound the alarm, they end up lock her up and end up giving her a bail. So let's go there before the sentence, okay? Let's get on here.
Stephanie Borel was just released from custody after a hearing at the Longueuil courthouse. She's facing a charge of aggravated assault after allegedly throwing boiling water at a 10-year-old on October 2nd. Borel appeared tired and she was crying today when talking about her state of mind. She told the court that she needed help. Some new details were shared today. Burrell told investigators that she was boiling water to unclog a pipe on October 2nd when she heard someone knocking at her door. She says she opened it and threw the boiling water. She said that for many months she was being harassed by people ringing her doorbell and then leaving. The judge decided to release her, saying she is not a threat to public safety. Prosecutor Gabriela Saint-Onge had opposed her release.
The court arrived to the conclusion that the safety of the public was assured by making her reside away from her first residence and away from any schools. So it was reassured by that. And for us, obviously, I'm not agreeing with his decision.
The 10-year-old boy's family was in the courtroom. They are disappointed by the decision to free Burrell today. We can't identify the child or his family because of a court order. Here's what they said when leaving the courtroom.
Nous sommes déçus. Il n'y a eu aucune compassion pour l'enfant, aucun mot.
At the beginning of the investigation, Burrell was released and then rearrested, a procedure the executive director of the Red Coalition still do not understand, even though the Longueuil police said she was arrested again following new evidence. He says the family is scarred forever.
Black boy is never gonna be the same for his entire life. Every time he looks into the mirror, he is going to break down inside.
Burrell must follow conditions while...
That's what the lady wanted. The lady wanted to teach him a lesson. So for the rest of the year life, now he'll remember that going to ring people's door, that's what you get. And that's what you're going to get. So the woman is a wicked woman. The woman has some kind of hate within herself too as well. Because remember they said as soon as the child ready to go ring the doorbell, she threw it on him. So she saw. She was waiting behind the door after school, hoping that the kids will come and ring that doorbell. So it's premeditated the way I see it. But nevertheless, let's continue.
On bail, including living at her son's condo, taking her medication, going to her appointments with doctor and psychologist. The case will be back in court on January 23rd.
Okay.
François CBC News, Longueuil.
So the case will gonna
Stephanie
be
Borel was
the
just
case is gonna be in January 23rd. So this is why I came and unpacked the story, guys, because now she got her sentence. All right. So she got her sentence because of this situation, like I said. And she got 20 months, which is disturbing and troubling for me. I don't know how you get 20 months of doing this horrific crime, but nevertheless, so let's unpack it quick and fast.
Stephanie Borel sat quietly in handcuffs while the prosecutor read a powerful impact statement written by the boy's parents, explaining the aftermath of the assault that occurred in October 2024. The letter talked about the emotional and physical damages suffered by the boy and his family. The family immigrated to Canada in 2022 and had built a community where they felt safe. But on October 2nd, that all changed. Borel admitted to tossing hot water on the 10-year-old boy after becoming frustrated by repeated doorbell pranks near her home. The child was hospitalized for several days and now has permanent scarring from second-degree burns. He's unable to sleep and has constant nightmares. The judge said the sentence reflects the serious physical and psychological harm to the child, while also considering Borel's guilty plea.
I would sue too for pain and suffering.
Mitigating factors. Prosecutor Gabrielle Saint-Onge says both the Crown and the family are satisfied.
I would sue.
That the file is done and they can turn.
You guys can go and sue for pain and suffering. I would. The condo that she's claiming that she's staying with her son, I would make sure that the son help her pay this bill. So I would sue for pain and suffering too. But who am I to say? Let's continue.
The page and go further and help their son to go get better.
A community member close to the family is glad Borel will face the consequences.
It sends a clear message to the society that those kind of acts, those cruel acts, will never be accepted, will never be tolerated by the Canadian society.
Borel will spend the next 20 months in jail. After that, she'll get 3 years of probation, where she will be required to follow certain restrictions. She won't be allowed within 500 meters of the family or the child or a school of any kind. She will also be required to go to therapy and take any prescribed medication. She also won't be allowed to discuss the case in any form on social media. Elizabeth Zogales, Global News, Longueuil.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine? So you know that these children been ringing the doorbell, but he was so unlucky for him to receive the scalding hot water. I never know that when 10 years old children are ringing your bell, you open the door and throw hot water. I never heard nothing like this in my life. You don't throw flour on the child. You don't throw cold water on the child. You don't hold on to the child and say, ha, I got you. Go get your parents and bring the child on the street and call for the parents. You don't call the police to warn the children, the child parents. You insisted, concoct a plan and a plot to throw hot water at any one of the children that come to the door and ring it? Seriously? And it happened to be this child is so unlucky to end up receiving the scalding boiled water? Seriously? The scalding boiled water. I never heard nothing like this in my life. But because we know how Quebec is, I just have to really kiss my teeth and pass. Seriously. Anyways, guys, from there, we get to understand that the Epstein files appear out, and it seems like the so-called disgraceful prince was on 4 knees and 4 foot like a dog around ladies. So let's unpack that gravely and keenly.
Pictures appearing to show Andrew Mountbatten Windsor crouched over an unidentified woman are featured in the latest disclosure of files linked to the late American sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The images are among more than 3 million documents published by the Trump administration. It's not known where they were taken. Mr. Mountbatten Windsor has been asked for comment, but he hasn't responded. He's previously denied any wrongdoing. The US Justice Department said this was the final batch of material that would be published. John Sudworth has the details.
In and amongst the more than 180,000 images released are these pictures showing the then Prince Andrew kneeling over and touching a female whose identity has been hidden. There's no context, location or date provided. Andrew has always denied any criminal wrongdoing, but this latest batch of files once again contains items raising serious questions of judgment, not least an email exchange from 2010, long after his close friend Jeffrey Epstein had been convicted of sexual offences involving children, suggesting he meet with a 26-year-old Russian woman in London who he might enjoy having dinner with. Andrew replies he would be delighted to see her and adds, "Will she be bringing a message from you? Please give her my contact details to get in touch." Epstein writes back, "She's 26, Russian, clever and beautiful, and yes, she has your email."
We will continue reducing.
The new files also contain further revelations about Peter Mandelson, who last year lost his job as British ambassador to Washington after it became clear his friendship with Epstein had been deeper than previously known. They include the claim that the sex offender sent Lord Mandelson's then partner, now husband, Ronaldo Avila da Silva, £10,000 to cover the cost of an osteopathy course. Lord Mandelson has described his friendship as a most terrible mistake and says he wasn't aware of Epstein's crimes. There's little, though, to pose a real threat to President Trump, apart from some unsubstantiated allegations which the FBI had already ruled out, nor, his administration says, anything to prove a wider conspiracy. But with so many documents withheld or
when you're
redacted,
privileged,
Jeffrey Epstein's victims do not believe they've yet been given the whole truth.
When the president signed the bill in November, it was to release all the files. All the files need to be released. They haven't been released. So that's...
If the president is in some of these files and in some of these acts, why would they be released when he's the one who's running the White House right now? These things won't be coming out. These things will be hidden. These things won't be out here until that man steps down or until that man finishes term. Because he's in this tape, a lot of things are going to be shielded and stuff like that. So that's what it is.
What closure looks like. That's what justice looks like. Whether anyone's prosecuted or not, get the full information out there so the public, the survivors, and everyone can really know what's going on.
With continuing calls for him to give evidence in America, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor has yet to respond to the latest revelations, but he's always strenuously denied any wrongdoing.
John Sudworth there. Well, the documents also include email correspondence between tech billionaire Elon Musk and Epstein. The new emails show that Musk, who's not been accused of any wrongdoing in the case, discussed...
It's disturbing and troubling, but what can we say? From there, guys, from there, we also want to talk about some other stuff. 1 second. One second, guys. From there, guys, we want to talk about Don Lemon reaction of being arrested. So let's get to Don Lemon for a second. You guys know that Don Lemon was arrested the other day and stuff like that. So let's hear.
I need sunglasses. Good. How are you? Wow. Can everybody hear me? Are you guys set?
Clearly, Don. Get on with it.
So look, I want to thank everybody for their support. It truly means the world to me. I have no idea what's going on because obviously I haven't seen anything. I have spent my entire career covering the news. I will not stop now. In fact,
You spend your entire career doing the news with other people that employ you and stronger and bigger people that employ you. You're an employee. But doing these things independently, they will wipe you out and take you out swiftly, the way we see it. So let's continue.
there is no more important time than right now, this very moment, for a free and independent media that shines a light on the truth and holds those in power accountable. Again, I will not stop now. I will not stop ever. Last night, the DOJ sent a team of federal agents to arrest me in the middle of the night for something that I had been doing for the last 30 years, and that is covering the news. The First Amendment of the Constitution protects that work for me and for countless of other journalists who do what I do. I stand with all of them, and I will not be silent. I look forward to my day in court. Thank you all.
So what do you guys think, folks? You think Don Lemon is going to get off of this one easy? I am not sure. So all of that, and a bag of chips, guys. Situation like that, okay? There's other stuff that I want to talk about, but I really don't want to drag on this live, to be honest. Really honest, I don't want to drag on this live, okay? And stuff like that. But when you really think about it, guys, it's troubling and disturbing to know that when you're employed, you're allowed to be out here covering the news. But as soon as you're not employed by someone else, then you cannot be out here covering the news because you'll be arrested. So if journalists can be independent, journalists can be arrested, then it tells you quite clear that Donald Trump and everybody else ain't playing. But anyways, people, let's go to Jamaica for a second. There's a man there rebuilding Jamaica in Black River. So let's unpack this.
For the past 3 months, Liston Bowen has been working to rebuild.
But you go start back from scratch, you know, see, it's rough.
As he continues having flashbacks to the day Hurricane Melissa made landfall.
Like it was attack as you get away from the door. I only brace it up, and we can't manage to run from the door and go on the back.
He says this physical work helps him deal with the frustration he feels after losing so much.
Yeah, everything around by your mind. Them up the drive you crazy.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to the next street. That's why you see me there, so I lick my hammer to take a certain thing off of my brain. All when I want to do it, you have to lick the hammer to take a certain problem off of my brain, you know?
Walking through his home in Black River, Bowen is still in disbelief.
You start mash out the window there, lick out everything when you look up your water in there. Pure water.
His home flooded and battered, his belongings destroyed, his kitchen gone.
In here, so we have to put his stove. In here, so we have to put his stove. Go, right? And you never look good. Price are tied like this. But you can't do better.
And yet, Bowen is one of the lucky ones, because he still has a roof over his head. It's a different story next door at the Black River New Testament Church.
Georgia, look at Jamaica, man.
Step inside, and you can look right up at the sky.
And I don't want you to be discouraged. Just keep showing up.
Members of the congregation now worship here under a large white tent set up just down the road.
The enemy thought the storm would scatter you. Instead, it gathered the real ones.
After so much loss and devastation, one might think their faith would be shaken. Instead, it seems stronger than ever.
Within a split second, you can lose everything you gain on this earth. But once you have Jesus, once you have the Lord, you know, that's more fulfilling than anything else.
A few kilometers southeast of Black River, in the coastal community of Parity, life goes on. A striking contrast of people doing ordinary things, while the landscape around them is anything but. The scenes are apocalyptic, evidence of the sheer force.
So we don't want to drag out this content. No more, no more, no more. This is the end of the content, guys. Like I said, happy Sunday. We made it. Tell the Sunday be a day to reflect, a day of respect for all you have been blessed. Let your joy be expressed and all of those great stuff, guys. Just remember we were talking about this case. This weird ass lady, decided that she couldn't take ding dong DoorDash anymore. So before the child even got to the doorbell, she decided to throw some scalding boil hot water on the child and say, it's hot, huh? Get lost with the scalding boil water. She ended up get promised to appear. The family put it out in the news and put it out in the public. And then she was locked up and arrested. We get to understand that she got 20 months in prison and also 3 years probation. It never could bring back the child, mental wealth, the child's skin. Look at his body, severe burns, severe scalding. But what can we say? We live in society nowadays days that some children are some children and some children are monsters, the way we see it. That's how society look at sometimes these type of children when they're just doing the simplest and the silliest darn things that children does. Ring your doorbell and run. Ring your doorbell and dash. Nicky, 9 door, ding dong and dash. We all know this. But nevertheless, guys, keep your children keep your children from some of these people in society, because you never know when they're ready to clock it and hurt your child and make excuses that they're in fear or your child is a nuisance. Okay, guys? So that was the story today. Thank you for stopping by. Until we meet again. Peace and love.